To solve this data sufficiency question, we'll go ahead and consider each statement separately first and then together if needed. Before we dive into the statement, let's go ahead and actually look at the question and extract the information that we're given from the question before we consider the statement separately. So taking a look at the question, we're told that a right triangle has two legs of equal length. This automatically implies that this is a common right triangle of 45, 45, 90. Let's just go ahead and jot down a rough sketch of what this might look like. We do know it's a right triangle, and we do have equal sides, so let's just go ahead and let's call them x, because we don't know the length. And if we do have 45, 45, 90, that means this angle is 45, this angle is 45. And these common right triangles have a ratio of sides to them, an x to x square root of 2. So in this case, if we can actually find one of the sides of the triangle using the ratio of sides for this common right triangle, we could find all of the other sides. So we want to keep that in mind as we work through our different statements. We're actually looking for whether we can answer the question, what is the triangle's perimeter in meters? So our perimeter, let's call it P, will actually equal the sum of all of our sides. Now if we're calling them x and x squared root of 2, our perimeter is going to be x plus x squared root of 2. So we essentially will have 2x plus x squared root of 2. Meaning that we can actually find a value for our perimeter if we do know x, or even if we know one of the sides, because knowing one of the sides we'll be able to find x and thus plug it in for our value and find the perimeter. So let's go ahead and let's keep those off to the side for now as we work through our statements. Let's start with statement 1. Statement 1 tells us that the area of the triangle is 3 square meters. So if we recall, our area formula for a triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height. If we take a look at our kind of sample triangle that we drew over here, we know our area is 3 square meters, and we have that equals 1/2. And trying to fill in what our base and our height would be, for our common right triangle here, our base and height are going to be these legs right here, x and x. It doesn't actually matter which one we call the base or the height. In this example of how we drew this specific triangle, this side down here would be our base and this would be our height. But again, this is just an example of one orientation that this triangle could be in. So we do have x and x would be our base times height, no matter what the orientation of this common right triangle is. And this we can actually solve for x. Now we actually don't need to find the value of x. Remember, we're just looking for whether we would be able to answer this question and find the perimeter. So if we have this equation from our area, we can solve this for x and get a value. And once we get a value for x, we would then be able to plug into our perimeter equation and actually get a number for our perimeter. So this statement alone is sufficient in order to answer the question of what is the triangle's perimeter in meters. So we can actually, if statement 1 is sufficient alone, we can eliminate answer choices B, C, and E, and keep around answer choice A or D, since both of these account for when statement 1 alone is sufficient. So since we know statement 1 alone is sufficient, let's go ahead and check that off, and let's go ahead and clear the board, and we'll try statement 2. So we need to determine whether statement 2 alone is sufficient, similar to what we did for statement 1. Now statement 2 gives us the hypotenuse of the triangle, measures 3 meters. If we look at our diagram here, this represents the ratio of our sides, so x times square root of 2 should equal 3 meters. This means that we can solve for x, similar to what we said before for statement 1. We can isolate x and find a value for it. Then once we know x, we can plug it into our perimeter and find a value to answer our question. So this statement alone is also sufficient. And if we look at our answer choices, we can eliminate answer choice A, and our final answer is answer choice D. Each statement alone is sufficient.